Hello and welcome to another edition of Foreign Dispatches, the program that takes you around the world in 25 minutes. I'm Layo Olarinde. On the program this week, families of Israeli hostages in Gaza are demanding more efforts in the release of their relatives. Uganda landslide survivors are losing hope of finding the over 100 people still missing. Plus, the Christmas season is upon us. Celebrations and traditional customs begin around the world. Calls continue for the release of Israeli hostages in Gaza, especially from their families. In Tel Aviv, the Hostages Families Forum continue their rallies to demand a deal to bring back the hostages who were kidnapped in October 2023. Meanwhile, in Gaza, Palestinians are skeptical of the incoming U.S. administration led by President-elect Donald Trump.
Israeli demonstrators descend upon Hostage Square, the streets of Tel Aviv, to demand a deal to bring back the hostages who were kidnapped during the deadly October 7, 2023 attack. On the same day, a video was released by Hamas showing a 20-year-old captive, Eden Alexander, looking pale, seated in a dark space against the wall. His mother, Yal, said she was shaken by the footage.
Listen, I'm still shaking, I don't know if people can see me, but I'm shaking, I cannot believe. I didn't saw Idan for 421 days, and suddenly to see him alive and speaking, and when he cried, I just want to hold him, you know. It was very, very, very tough to see. I'm hoping that he's still gonna stay brave and strong, and I want him to know that we are doing everything that we can to bring him home.
In the video, he identified himself and addressed his family, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, urging them to secure his release.
On the video, we saw Idan speaking directly to Benjamin Netanyahu and asked him to make a deal and to release all the hostages. He also called President Trump to do whatever he can to bring them home. An hour after, Benjamin Netanyahu called us and told us that he embraced us and is with us, with the family, on this toughest time. And he told us that he's going to do whatever he can to bring the deal and to release all the hostages. He told us this is the time to do it, and he's going to do it.
Around half of the 101 foreign and Israeli hostages still held incommunicado in Gaza are believed to still be alive.
We don't have time, and our 101 hostages are underground in the tunnels of Hamas, and they don't have time, and we need to close the deal as soon as possible.
Hamas leaders are expected in Cairo for ceasefire talks with Egyptian officials to explore ways to reach a deal that can secure the release of the hostages in return for Palestinian prisoners. The fresh bid comes after Washington said it was reviving efforts towards that goal. The Hostages Families Forum is urging the administrations of both outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who takes office in January, to step up efforts in order to secure a hostage release. Meanwhile, in Gaza, displaced Palestinians in Khan Yunis voiced their frustration at U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's recent remarks that there would be hell to pay in the Middle East if hostages held in the Gaza Strip were not released prior to his January 20th inauguration.
We pay the price with our money, our souls, our children, our lives, our future. And all of our past has been wiped out. And now we are here. As you can see how we live, what more does U.S. President-elect Donald Trump want? We are here for a deal to be made, and for the hostages to be handed over, and for our prisoners to be released. A deal to be made, and for people to go to their homes. We are for a solution to be made, and for this war to end.
احنا مع انه يصير حل وتنتهي الحرب هذه.
جاءت تصريحات ترامب بالامس.
Trump's statements yesterday came as a new shock to us here in the Gaza Strip. We were hoping that the new administration will bring with it a breakthrough and a solution to what is happening here in the Gaza Strip by stopping the aggression and ending the months of despicable war that destroyed everything here in the Gaza Strip.
During their deadly 2023 attack in Israel, Hamas-led militants captured more than 250 people, according to Israeli tallies, including dual Israeli-American nationals. Making his most explicit comments on the fate of the hostages since his election in November, Trump said on social media, if the hostages are not released prior to January 20th, 2025, the date I proudly assume office as President of the United States, there will be all hell to pay in the Middle East and for those in charge who perpetrated these atrocities against humanity. Hamas has called for an end to the war and total Israeli withdrawal from Gaza as part of any deal to release remaining hostages. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the war will go on until Hamas is eradicated and poses no more threat to Israel. Israel launched its war after Hamas-led fighters attacked Israeli communities in October 7, 2023, killing 1,200 people, according to Israeli tallies. Israel's military offensive has killed more than 44,400 Palestinians and displaced most of Gaza's population. Vast swaths of the enclave lie in ruins.
In Uganda, over 100 people are still missing after a landslide triggered by heavy rains in the Bulambuli district. That's about 300 kilometers east of the capital, Kampala. Survivors and relatives of victims are losing hope in finding their loved ones.
The landslide happened on Wednesday, November the 30th in Bulambuli district, burying dozens of homes across several villages located approximately 300 kilometers east of the capital, Kampala. Villages once inhabited by homes and schools are now submerged in deep mud. Survivors mourn their missing loved ones as rescue workers search the mud for those who may still be missing. In response to the disaster, the Ugandan government has urged citizens living in landslide-prone regions to relocate.
You'll dig the whole place. Right.
Officials believe the death toll from the disaster in the eastern region is expected to keep rising, with over 100 people reported missing. Derek Mayuya lost his entire family, 3 siblings and both parents. His home further down the valley was not affected, but digging through the mud on the side of a hill where his family home used to be, it is clear that those who were reported missing may not have survived this disaster.
I'm really desperate, have no hope, because I'm sure my family is all gone. I'm sure. I know I have no doubt on this, because this family is a busy family. There were animals here. You have seen the dead bodies are down there dead. The father himself in the home was a man who was doing his home work 24/7. So he cannot say that maybe he has moved anywhere for these 2 days. If he had moved somewhere, at least he could have shown up. But now, for these 2 days, we are confirmed that they have all passed away.
The government has asked survivors remaining in the area to relocate, but the question they are asking is to where? Residents say the government has failed to fulfill promises to resettle them from the landslide-prone area.
I remember last year in May, we had the same scenario. Government came in, they promised us to put us in the safe places. They gave us cards showing that we are moving in time. But since that time, we're having those cards, but nothing has taken place. Not until this again has happened. So that's where everything is. If there's time, something was done, I'm sure this time this cannot be, it couldn't be like this.
Francis Tayiso Kiganga, who lost 2 of his 6 children in the disaster, escaped with his wife and 4 other children. They are now living in a resettlement camp.
I
have 6 children. When the mudslide started, I was in the house. My wife and I tried to run out with the children, but we only managed to escape with 4. The other 2 were buried by the mudslide. I feel so traumatized whenever I remember what happened.
Living conditions in the camp are dire with limited food. Aid workers have brought maize meal to the camp, but resources remain scarce. Kiganga said he would not return to his former home.
I can't go back to that place unless I hear that they have retrieved my children. Then I can go back and bury them. But I can never settle there again. I would like the government to help me rebuild my life from here.
The East African nation has been hit by unusually heavy rainfall since October, triggering widespread flooding and landslides in some areas. Earlier this week, torrential rain caused the River Nile, the main branch of which runs through Uganda, to burst its banks and flood a highway connecting Kampala to the northwest. Large swathes on the slopes of Ugandan mountains have been denuded of their forests and their vegetation for arable land, increasing the risk of landslides. The area where the landslide occurred is mountainous and has experienced similar disasters in the past, including an avalanche in 2010 that killed at least 80 people. Villagers say many more are stuck under the mud and there is no hope for survivors. All they can do is dig and retrieve the remains of those they love.
The festive season is here. In Germany, Santas gather at the Berlin-Brandenburg Gate ahead of their big night on December 24th. Yes, December 24 is when Germany traditionally celebrates Christmas Day. And for the past 20 years, many families have been receiving visits from Father Christmas.
Berlin Santas gather at the German capital landmark, the Brandenburg Gate, as the countdown for their big night is underway. Families can book a Santa from €65, who then visits the home to hand out Christmas presents for the children. If an angel accompanies Santa, the fee is €96, and a Santa with long-term experience costs €85. The service is so popular, head Santa Andreas Pensky said he needs more of them to meet demand, but is hard to attract new recruits.
We are currently approximately 40 Santas and a handful of angels. Before, there were more of us. We have great difficulty finding trainees, especially Santas. There are not that many angels needed because they only go on a book tour together with a Santa, but we could definitely do with 5 or 10 more Santas. Customers' demand for these visits certainly exists.
Gerard, a seasoned Santa, thinks it's hard to find new Santas because people misunderstand the job.
The biggest problem is nobody has interest to be Father Christmas because most of the people maybe have a wrong impression. Don't go with any religious message first. Just put the children in the front, in the middle point, and go and make them happy. That's all.
Santa Gerard has one incentive to share for those thinking about joining.
When you go for like 10, 12 customers and has to run to the 5th floor without an elevator, you are getting very slim. Yeah, believe me.
Germans traditionally celebrate Christmas on December 24th, and the Berlin Santa headquarters is providing rental Santas like they've been doing for the past 20 years.
Welcome back to the program. Buildings and landscapes constructed from biscuits go on display this Christmas as London's tastiest exhibition returns. Gingerbread City, organized by the Museum of Architecture, has become a festive staple in the capital. Architects and designers working in teams to draw up, then bake, scale down structures from gingerbread, icing and sweets, as well as looking and tasting the part. They have the structural integrity to last the 4 weeks that the exhibition is open.
Gingerbread City returns to London for its annual round with the theme Recycled City. Architects and designers challenge their cookie crafting skills to reimagine iconic buildings and structures into something new. The Recycled City is made out of gingerbread, icing and sweets, and this year's edition was all about reusing existing buildings. As a chair of the Museum of the Architecture, Rob Fain pointed out.
There is a booming business in architecture in reusing existing buildings. And this is really important because if you demolish a building and you build a new one, it takes a huge amount of carbon, which is really bad for the environment. So we wanted to creatively inspire people and show them how we can reuse existing buildings and also sometimes much loved buildings, which are kind of iconic on the landscape.
London's BT Tower, Royal Opera House, University of Greenwich Stride, Tregland Devonport House are some of the delicious establishments on display.
The main building is a circular building, so trying to recreate that out of gingerbread was quite challenging, but a fun fact behind the scenes was that we actually used an old leftover piece of metal ductwork from a building site to bake our gingerbread around it to get that kind of circular shape.
Senior mechanical engineer Arti Patel speaks on how sugary structures were being held together.
So we've got very structurally sound icing holding the whole thing together, and it's pretty robust, and the gingerbread itself is very structurally sound as well. It doesn't taste very nice, but it stays up for a whole month. So
Patel says while the gingerbread stays up for a month, it doesn't taste very nice. Our opinion is shared by 29-year-old architect Yitao Zhu, who admitted he did, in fact, try eating it.
The super strong gingerbread, so it's not very tasty. But I did try eating it. It's very difficult to bite it. So.
Elements from last year's Gingerbread City is also being recycled and reused.
We are also recycling the old model that we made for Gingerbread City last year. We break it into different pieces and then make it into part of the model for this year.
The gingerbread itself can't be reused, but it can be, we're going to throw it into organic waste, so it will go back into the system. And then the exhibition plinths and the boxes, they can all be reused in the future. So the reuse element is the display equipment.
The exhibition being held at the Government in Chelsea opened to the public on November the 30th and runs until December the 29th.
And finally, on the program, the first Conjoined Twins Conference has come to an end in Saudi Arabia. One side attraction at the conference was an exhibition hall showcasing tools and equipment dedicated to the growth and development of children with disabilities. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent, Amarachi Ubani, reports.
Out of cost because
while experts and professionals brainstormed on procedures and techniques to improve the separation of conjoined twins at the conference in Riyadh, next door, where the companies, organizations and schools focused on their development and welfare throughout their lives.
For example,
like Hannah, a music teacher specializing in music therapy for children. She came with some of her musical instruments to show how music helps with child development. She teaches nonverbal kids how to communicate through music.
Without talking, we can communicate with music, with playing music, to socialize the kids. If they feel, for example, so we can't talk music.
We make a stopover at the King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center stand at the exhibition, where technology is used to show people what life is like for a child in one of the refugee camps in the Middle East.
I'm in a refugee camp. I see children.
You see children? Okay, that's the start of the video. Yeah. This booth gives you the opportunity to wear the VR, to live in a day of a refugee Syrian child in the camp from when they wake up until they come back home. And you get to see what they do around the day, when they go to school, when they have breakfast, and that's basically what we're showing you.
Since most separated conjoined twins need physical therapy afterwards, the Children with Disability Association stand showcases products and tools to help with that. Play, as well as other toys that help with cognitive development, so a child with disabilities can learn to do basic things by himself.
We are providing a service for rehabilitation from birth up to 16 years old. Occupational therapy, physiotherapy, psychologist, speech pathologist, special education. So as a rehabilitation for the all disability. As a free for Saudi, and for non-Saudi we just take a small amount of service budget, but it's open for everybody.
Our final stop is at a replica of an operating room where conjoined twins are separated. OR nurse Majd Nafia shows how those complicated surgeries are conducted.
The patient will come inside the OR. It will be in one table. After separation, 2 tables different. After separation, inside the OR will be 2 anesthesia machine, separated the anesthesiologist. The team will be different. The anesthesia preparation is different between each other. We have sometimes a code team inside the OR. We call it a blue team and a red team. For nursing side, we have maybe maximum 8 nurses inside the OR. 2 scrub nurse. 1 scrub will start the procedure. The other one will scrub after separation. We have 2 circulating, 2 documenting nurses. The instrument that we bring today is only the basic instrument. It depends also on what is the sharing part of the OR, of the separation.
Doctors say early separation is key to success. Saudi hospitals reportedly have 100% survival rates. This exhibition shows it is probably because there is a whole village of different professionals on standby to make it happen. From Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, Amarachi Ubani, Channels Television News.
And that's the program today. Remember, our top stories are never far away. You can catch them on channelstv.com. Thank you for watching the program. I'm Layo Olarinde. Bye for now.